Londo G back at it again. Just wanted to take the time to do a very brief commentary on the 1991 uh, film by Spike Lee called it's called I'm trying to say it's called Jungle Fever. Came out in 1991, and if you like me, a Zennial era, early millennial person, you kind of came up on this movie when your parents were popping it in if you're black. And my father was a Spike Lee fan. I never really was a Spike Lee fan all the way. Some of the stuff I liked, and some of the stuff I didn't like. I think my most favorite film from him is Clockers, with Micaiah Pfeiffer and Isaiah Washington and Delroy Lindo, because I felt a lot of that the character Strike was like me, because I was trying to find a way to my happiness, and trying to escape just the pressures of being young, at the time, and living with my father. But with this 1991 Jungle Fever movie, starring Wesley Snipes as Flipper and Annabella Shore as Angie Tucci, they are it's an interracial coupling that actually goes by basically Wesley Snipes' character actually has a romantic cheating interest in her. The whole time in the movie, I felt that Wesley Snipes was being very disingenuous as his character Flipper, because on the other hand, he wants to continue being with his black wife, played by Lynetta McKee, prospectively, who played Ray Allen's mother in the hit other Spike Lee joint that was pretty good called He Got Game, where he played Ray Allen. NBA player Ray Allen played Jesus Shuttlesworth, who was sent off to college, but his father wanted him to go to the college that he was set out to have him sign that contract, so that Denzel Washington's character, as his father, would be able to get out of prison early. That was pretty good. And of course, he was manipulated by the various agents and all that stuff in that movie, until he came to find out that his father was right, that he did need to sign with that other big college that was going to really help him see through to his career, probably moving forward into the NBA, as in that fictional movie. But in this one, I just felt very even as a younger teenage guy, seeing this, and pre-adolescent teenage youngster, as through the mid-90s I saw this, because this was 4 years after I was really knowing and understanding the whole concept. And then I looked at it again as a grown man, and I was like, it's really jacked up what Wesley Snipes' Flipper's character did to Angie, because he could have had if he really, to me, he was really being biased. And then especially the part of the scene, if you've seen the part of the movie where he told her, he said, "Oh no, I don't want to have no biracial babies like that," or I think the word that he was using was some other kind of word that's not used anymore, and that was even more hard. That was even more cringing to look at, because this was a black man that made this decision to sleep with another woman, which was not of his same race, and this woman was feeling him. And I'm gonna tell you right now, had I been Wesley Snipes in this movie, and I was the character, I would have gotten with Angie, because Angie looked like she was a woman that really actually cared for me. And yes, this is a SYSBM related video of the dating and mating side of things. I would have taken her on, even if I mean it's wrong that his character was married already, but yet he felt something for her. But it was almost like it was just a sex thing, pretty much, for Flipper, portrayed by Wesley Snipes. And Angie played, really great by Annabella Sahora. I always liked, Annabella Sahora. I've always been a fan of hers. I even recently caught her. Last time I saw her, she appeared on an episode of the hit Netflix series Luke Cage, and she was it was a pretty good scene, because it looked like she wanted some of that Mandingo, personally, from Mike Coulter portraying playing Luke Cage on the series, which is sad that we never got a third season of Luke Cage. It's very sad, because that show was getting pretty good. after he took the club, from Mariah, originally owned by Cottonmouth, that was ran by Cottonmouth after she killed Cottonmouth. The Mariah character, that is the head. She's the head, like Mama Mabel, mafioso, black female mafioso, played by Alfred Woodward in this second season of Luke Cage. But anyway, but Flipper, Wesley Snipes' character, is very jacked up in this. I felt he was being very disingenuous. Even when the part he slept with her, he said, "I feel this certain thing," but it was like, it's almost like the way Spike Lee wrote it. Spike Lee was being very disingenuous, and he was actually hating on, because what I found out why he wrote this film, his father basically had remarried to a Caucasian lady when his original black mother died. And I guess Spike Lee felt a certain way about it, so that's why he wrote about this this forbidden relationship between a black man and an Italian European, fellow New York, Caucasian Italian white woman, and he felt some kind of way about that type of coupling. And Spike Lee has always been the type of guy pro-black, black on black this, black that type films. And I understand that, but it's like, to me, Spike is just that continuation of how old school, Spike Lee is. He is a baby boomer. He is a product of the silent generation of people that bore him. That's what they call any parents that have been born between 1920s and the late 1930s. They call them the silent generation. The silent generation are the problem because they've put into a lot of Generation Xers and baby boomers' heads that that typical separatist type of mindset. And I think that's what Spike Lee has. Even with this movie, he's infusing it. I saw no redeemable qualities of any character in this movie, including Cyrus himself, played by Spike Lee, who was a damn tattletale that told his wife, played by Veronica Webb, OG model of Veronica Webb, in the movie. And of course, typically when you're married, when you're married to a daggle, she's gonna go off and tell her other daggle friends and that other daggle that you're married to that you just slept with a non-daggle female. Come on now. This is just ridiculous. But this is at the time, I guess through the mid to late 1980s, early 90s, and around that time there was a situation in Bensonhurst, and I think that's what Bensonhurst, where that young man got murdered, who would have been 47, 48 years old today. But he had went through an Italian, predominantly Italian white neighborhood. He was invited to a party with some Italian kids, and he abruptly got murdered because of him being black in that neighborhood. Of course, they didn't like Afro-American Negro men. So he was mercilessly murdered, and when one of the boys found out that he was brought to, one of the young Italian men found out that he was brought to the party by that other fellow Italian young lady, it showed the insecurities of these Italian young men that murdered him. That was in 1988, 1989. And that's when they had that march with Reverend Al Sharpton and all those, civil rights folks about his death. So I think that Spike Lee was pertaining it to some of that stuff that was going on at the time. And what's crazy about Annabella Shore's character is that she was willing to take the risk to being with Flipper, Wesley Snipes' character, and I just felt that it was a jab in the face to SYSBM with this film. That's why I will not look at the film again. But like I said, it's a product of its time, and I understand to a degree, because at the time, that's what a lot of Afro-American black men were feeling, that they needed to stay dedicated to their so-called fellow BAW, Daggle. And now we understanding now that this is not the case in the 21st century, that actually a lot of us fellow Afro-American men are waking up to the delusions that we've been made through these so-called black films, that this is how the black family structure is, and it's not anymore. because of what our group of so-called BAWs and Daggles have so-called done. They've destroyed that. So now it is up to us in SYSBM, brothers who are thinking outside the box, who are looking for a new frontier, to realize that we can actually build with other women and create better communities. That's my thing. So, but I take in that this movie was being, like I said, a very slight towards interracial relationships because of how Spike Lee felt at this time. I think he still feels this way. I mean, this is never going to go away. This is the typical baby boomer, silent generation error of black folks thinking. And it's probably spewed down to, and probably trickling down to the Generation Xer as well. So, yeah, and at the end of the day, it was a very unpleasant film. I can tell you that. Frank Vincent was in it playing her father, playing Ella Baroness Jahora's father. And when the part she comes in and he finds out, I guess one of her brothers, played by Michael Imperioli, I think, tells his father that she was dating a black man, he just abruptly starts, violently smacking her around, hitting on her. And I'm like, wow, And maybe that type of thing was going on at the time, in New York. When, because I know that some of these Italian men, in New York didn't like their daughters being with black men. And when he found that out, he went off the hook. And rest in peace to Frank Vincent. You probably know Frank Vincent. He's from The Sopranos. This is my first time kind of seeing him in this movie. And then Anthony Quinn plays John Turturro's father. And John Turturro is actually sort of liking, and this is what makes it crazy, because John Turturro's character likes the black female character in the movie that was portrayed by, I think, Tyra Farella. She's a black actress that played the mother to Ice Cube in them in Boys in the Hood. She's the love interest of John Turturro's character. I forget his character's name in the movie, but he has a crush on her, and then they show him getting with her, and then Annabella Shahura and him had a thing back in the days as fellow Italians dating. So it was just really about back and forth thing. And like I said, at the final ending, Wesley Snipes gets back with his wife, which is funny because that's the way he put it, because like I said, he wanted to believe in that so-called black on black love stuff. And like I said, this movie is a product of its time. And then even more of the scene where his wife, played by Lynetta McKee, and most of those black females that were in that scene talking about how, black men always want to get with white women and all this stuff. And I was just like, wow, really? But when it comes to y'all showing interest in Caucasian men, nobody need not say nothing, So it was like, so he was showing, I guess, the different sides of the positives, and then the negatives, or the positives outweighing the negatives, or the negatives outweighing the positives of interracial. But I don't think it was what he was really trying to say. And then you saw Flipper trying to win back, Lynetta McKee, his wife, up in the movie, and she was giving him, because to me, if she was coming off yelling at me like that, I would have left her. Her character was very annoying. She's not a bad-looking, light-skinned sister, but at the same damn time, I wouldn't. That berating me like that, that's not going to make me come back. I would have went straight to Annabella Shahura's character. I would have told her, hey, let's run away together. But but that's my take on the 1991 Spike Lee joint. Oh, and quick to note also, Samuel L. Jackson's performance as Gator in here is what makes the film really likable and watchable. He plays Gator Purified. That's Wesley Snipes' Flipper's brother, who is on drugs. His older brother who's on drugs. And then a tremendous performance from Halle Berry as his girlfriend. They said Halle Berry did not take shower or something to play this drug addict lead that she did. But it's just amazing. for those two characters in the movie to really make the movie a little bit more, I guess, enjoyable and more easier to kind of just laugh at it and watch. But the interracial relationship concept of the movie, I think, is very, very disingenuous. But at the same time, it is a product of its time. So that's where people's mindsets were, whether you were on the Afro black side or the Caucasian side, looking at other people like people of color and the racial issues in New York at that time. That movie, really transfuse puts that out there with that message. But looking back on it, I say it's very biased, and I feel that Spike Lee hates on interracial relationships, which he should. He should be happy that everybody can find somebody. But like I said, when you're stuck in that way of thinking, that's what happens. So that's my take on the SYSBM side about the film, the 1991 film Jungle Fever by Spike Lee. I'd say I wouldn't recommend it, but check it out, just for the laughter of Samuel Jackson's character as Gator, the older brother who's on drugs. Just a tremendous performance and just hilarious towards the end, even though it was serious what happened towards the end, because Ozzie Davis plays their father, the late great Ozzie Davis, and Ruby Dee playing their mother. But it overall just an entertaining film, all in all. Outside the other.